So I'm sharing today a few things. There's something called the eightfold path. This is, I learned it in recovery dharma. Dharma for them is like how, with separating it, which we in Hebrew we say lahavdil, similar to the way we say Torah is the truth. What they say that their Torah kind of is like, the dharma. So they say that the Buddha, or like their main rabbi, lahavdil, but that's why Jews aren't really Buddhist. Like, Jews will practice Buddhism, but if you have to believe in a Buddha, then you're not really like an enlightened being. We have many tzaddikim in Judaism. So in other words, they say that the Buddha taught that by living ethically, practicing meditation and developing wisdom and compassion, we can end the suffering that is created by resisting, running from, and misunderstanding reality. We found that these practices and principles can end the suffering of addiction, and the Eightfold Path helps us to find our way in recovery and consists of the following. So that's their introduction. I'm sharing this from the sense that, I think it's so important. So we have 8 aspects. One is wise understanding. We practice understanding that there will be pain in this life, but it doesn't have to lead to suffering. Then there's wise intention. We are curious about why we act and cultivate skillful intentions. Wise speech. We practice loving speech and deep listening. We aim to be truthful, timely, and mindful of our tone. Wise action. We try to act in accordance with the 5 precepts. 1 is reverence for life. 2 is mindfulness of boundaries. 3 is healthy intimacy. 4 is honesty. And 5 is mindful consumption. We practice wise livelihood, which is we seek to reduce harm and increase compassion in our jobs and communities. Wise effort. We devote balanced energy toward recovery and finding our own middle way. Wise mindfulness. We practice being aware of what's happening in the present without judgment. And wise concentration. We cultivate the ability to recognize distractions and maintain or regain our focus. And then sometimes we learn that wisdom comes from people that we don't really want to hear the feedback from. So I wrote down some things from someone. This is actually from 2015, so it's like 9 years ago. And it was someone who I was dating who had a lot of negative feedback from me, but I couldn't process it or listen to it then. So I wrote a lot of it down. And these were, things he was telling me. Now I could see them sort of as truths that are about life, about people. They're his opinions from his experience rather than being directed at me. So this is what I'll share. Women mirror men and do not generate their own energy. There's no true friendship between female and male because the female magnifies the points of what is behind the male. When we're dwelling on the negative, it's our own actions. It doesn't matter who acclimated me to be this way, but it also causes a come-out swinging defensive sensibility. We don't make anyone else take responsibility for us in addition to their self. When we jump to conclusions immediately on first impressions on nothing, it will be shown and to frustratedly break at the calm down moment. Jumping also causes us to spit venom between breaths. And because through the emotionally clouded lens at that moment, so for the sake of the broader sight and the greater objectivity, we have to keep calming down and take stock and accountability for our actions and choices, because reaction is a kind of action. We don't have to make others other at the expense of I. If I, then not you, starts from uncorrected selfishness, then celebrate the precedent. Selfish starting point. If something made me irritable, it must be unjustified. I'm not responsible. I didn't make myself this way. Rather than glimpsing something higher, presently unsustainable, can still be momentarily attainable rather than, unjustified ego. The conviction and outer reality that's mistaken as the objective from myself that I'm not responsible because I was born this way against my will has on the other side an inner, higher, collapsed binary thinking of I versus you or some versus other, same versus other, or identification with versus enemy, identification as not, which is the unity of just being, identity with a capital, objective, non-dual, non-binary I. Living with working definitions means learning how to cope with rules. Lacking attention is defiance, a learned behavior. It's forgiving because it pardons responsibility, and it's tolerable, not overwhelming. When we swim against ourselves, it's temporary, and we can't let a conflicted moment be perceived as something over time, as forever, just because of a feeling it is in this present moment, without being more spacious, without experiencing dissolving. being more spacious without experiencing dissolving. Addressing, writing, acknowledging after a conflict, to process and explain and be heard is normal and helps sanity, and is also a kindness for the other person because of understanding ourselves and others better. I gave advice to my friend Pearl Reich. She calls herself Divina. When we blossom out the support, slowly, surely, steadfastly, we can kind of use this Hebrew words. We have Kirov, which means close. Chevra, I think I covered this once before. Chevra, which is like the group of friendships. Chaver, which is the other, and Chavrusa, someone we're studying life with. And I'm going to share now, one second, let me find it. Okay, here. A poem from that I remember Binyomin had sent me in 2015-16 by Cummings. I'm going to take a few deep breaths before I go there. I'm going to take a drink of water. Somewhere I've never traveled, gladly beyond any experience. Your eyes have their silence. In your most frail gesture are things which enclose me, or which I cannot touch because they are too near. Your slightest look easily will unclose me, though I have closed myself as fingers. You open always, petal by petal, myself, as spring opens, touching skillfully, mysteriously, her first rose. Or if your wish be to close me, I and my life will shut very beautifully, suddenly, as when the heart of this flower imagines the snow carefully, everywhere descending. Nothing which we are to perceive in this world equals the power of your intense fragility, whose texture compels me with the color of its countries, rendering death and forever with each breathing. I do not know what it is about you that closes and opens. Only something in me understands. The voice of your eyes is deeper than all roses. Nobody, not even the rain, has such small hands. And just keep it maybe a little bit on a lighter note, I'm going to share now some quotes from Yogi Berra. Always go to others' funerals, otherwise they won't go to yours. The future ain't what it used to be. A nickel ain't worth a dime anymore. Nobody goes there anymore, it's too crowded. It's deja vu all over again. Baseball is 90% mental, the other half is physical. I really didn't say everything I said. We have a good time together, even when we're not together. When you get to a fork in the road, take it. And I'm going to finish now with, there was, and I don't know who she is, but she's a teacher. If I knew who she was, I would say her name. She talks about GEEK. There is this technique called GEEK. Gratitude, ego, expectations, and kindness. So I used the relationship I had with a man at the time as an example. Instead of evil, hiding a disability. Like I think of this man, his name is Michael. Couldn't run a house or get it together. I can give space and attention. So one is someone drew out my strength and loved me no matter what. Also the darkness too. Ego. No hate is needed or rage to destroy. Simply can hold the door open. No cornering to punish for existing or desiring. 3, expectations. Forcing someone to love my ugliest parts, compulsively showing I'm undesirable so they can never get disappointed and can never blame me for their perceptions of me later because I lowered their expectations, afraid that I'm a disappointment. And 4, kindness. I expect to be disappointed and look out for it, and I don't ask for what I need because then I'll owe the other. Conditional, transactional relationships. So we look at where we could see, it doesn't mean we have to be grateful or kind or have an expectation, but we examine the issue, and I felt that I learned a lot from that. So I'll stop here, and wish you a blessed evening. Bye.